thank you, Natalie, for coming on and again to talk about soft tissue massage with us. It's something that obviously we deal with a lot in our setting, so I think this is a great conversation to have, and I'm sure it won't be the only conversation we ever have. So, starting off, Natalie, why don't you go ahead and tell us what your experience is in the industrial setting?
Where I'm at currently, it's my first time working in industrial settings, so I didn't work in an industrial setting before. So the experience of working at this site is completely new to me.
Yeah, and how long have you been actually in the setting?
Less than a year. Almost maybe a few months shy of a year.
Almost there. Yeah, I just didn't. My 1 year was just February, so I understand. Very new.
What was the setting that you worked in before that, Natalie?
I was out of college, so like a traditional setting.
Okay. Great.
Nice. So then, having the industrial setting in mind and how you've been working, what would you say that's like compared to what you were doing in the traditional setting? Like, what was the role of massage there versus where you are now?
I would definitely say it was easier for me to feel like I could use it anytime I needed to. Like I didn't feel restricted by it. Like, is this okay to do? Can I do this right now? And then I guess with COVID, everything is even more restricted, so it's harder to do this. But it definitely felt like it was something I could do whenever I felt like I needed to. I didn't feel restricted by it, as opposed to now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did promise Natalie that we were not going to get into any OSHA conversation, so we're not going to even say that word.
It's all good. That's okay. OSHA's so difficult and just so detailed that that'd be a conversation just down the rabbit hole, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
You might leave more confused than enlightened, so.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And Natalie does night shift, and so it's like really unfair to pull like a pop quiz on OSHA on her right now. Because this is a daytime, and she like pretty recently just got off her shift. So.
Should be hibernating right now.
She's a superstar.
Oh yeah, you're back on. I know you're back on night shift now. So, but so then, with that being said, how do you feel now that you've been in the industrial setting for a couple of months, or not a couple of months, but almost a year now? How do you feel? Soft tissue massage has grown into your plan of care or practice when you are working with the industrial athletes?
I've actually found it to be one of the only things that I felt I could do, I guess, on the side, if it's like an area I can reach, like a forearm or something, that I didn't have to bring them back to the office for. So it's one of the manual therapies that I felt like I could actually give to them that might help them immediately, rather than having them. And I felt like if I did it for them, then they would be able to like self apply it on their own and realize that this could work for them. So I've used it when I felt like I needed to have them buy into like the idea of massaging their own arm, so that it doesn't feel as tense or doesn't feel as sore, because they're new or they've been doing the same thing over and over and they're just not getting any relief from like biofreeze by itself or ice and heat or something like that.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really solid point, and so you helped do some of the research for this course as well, so you'd kind of read through some of the research, and what you're saying is almost exactly what the research is telling us that we should be using massage for, which is building rapport, doing some teaching and using it for really temporary purposes and not necessarily for like a long-term plan of care. But especially within those first couple of times that we meet someone, to develop that relationship really quickly, doing anything hands-on can really aid in that. There's this special magic when we start doing anything where we're doing hands-on work. Yeah. What did you find? So you had done some reading and looked through quite a bit of research. Was there anything that surprised you really with it, or frustrated you maybe with it?
So I had always used massage as a way to, increase blood flow, and when muscles are really tense is when I will see if I can use that method to make them not so sore. I guess what surprised me was a research I found on massage being used to increase grip strength, which I guess would make sense if their muscles are really tight, it can't contract any more than it already is tense. And so massaging it really helps to loosen that up, increase blood flow, and kind of enable them to use that muscle again. But that was one of the articles that surprised me.
Okay, yeah, we didn't even use that one this time, but we're gonna have a second course specifically on some techniques, and so I think, because everybody really wants to learn more about massage.
Yeah.
But the key is that it's one of the things that we can do, so it is important for us. But we'll want to dive into that one. I know there's a lot of, I shouldn't say. There is a lot of research out on massage. There just isn't a lot of good research out on massage. And so in that, it's hard to take away consistent, solid messages from that if we can't really be sure that the research is even, applicable to our setting or for what we're working on or for the purposes of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And,
or on some of the researches that I saw, the measurable data was, even though it showed changes, it was small, the measurable data, it wasn't significant enough.
Yes.
But yeah,
tiny. Yeah. And in all of those takeaways, it's short term. It's very short term, which is fine. That's totally fine. I mean, I think we can all agree that we like short term pain relief, which is why we go for ibuprofen or Tylenol or something like this. It's the same thing. It's just short-term pain relief. So we're just looking at what kind of modalities can we get short-term pain relief so we can just get moving or comfortable again.
Kind of break that pain cycle, I feel like is the main reason why I use it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, information is power. Yeah.
I think that's important to hit on too. Oh, sorry. When you're working with your athlete, we know it's short term, but we as clinicians, we're definitely responsible for letting them know that, listen, this isn't a weekly thing that we're going to do forever with you. We're not your masseuse that you schedule an appointment with for an hour. This is to help with pain relief so that we can go to other means such as strengthening or other things like that that are more active and require more participation from them. So yeah, definitely short term, but I think on our side we definitely need to make sure we say that so that they don't have different expectations, and then at some point there is a failure to comply because we didn't set that expectation.
Oh yeah. Natalie, when you're giving massage in the wellness center or to anybody really, what do you use certain language or certain information that you find helpful to set those boundaries?
I definitely tell them why I'm doing it, right? So it's not just because it's massage and it feels good, but I'm doing it because I notice that your muscles are tense, and so I want to make sure that I make this increase blood flow, increase oxygen, so that your muscles are gonna feel less sore, helps make it more pliable so you can work better with it, right? And then I tell them, so after this, I'm gonna give them the lacrosse ball. I want you to continue this on your own, right? It's gonna do this kind of similar thing, so that before you come into work, do it. On your break, you can do it too if you're starting to feel like it's tensing up. So you can do this on your own, by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely tell them why I'm doing it, because sometimes they just do it because it feels good, but they don't know how it works. And so I definitely make sure I explain to them, like, this is how it works and this is why I'm doing it. So it's not like that I'm going to do it all the time, but just because I noticed it this time, this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah. So we're going to throw a wrench in that, though. So we know that massage itself doesn't actually increase venous or arterial flow. It might increase, like the peripheral capillaries on our skin, which is why it gets red. But we have pretty good data now that shows like there is no increase in blood supply to that area. So if along with information is power, what might you say instead, or has that kind of changed your perspective on how you might explain to people, or like do you think that they really that's a big thing to them to increase blood flow?
I guess, well, maybe I shouldn't say increase blood flow, but I feel like it helps with is what I felt like it was used for. Mm-hmm. Along with other things, but
well, here's a good question. I mean, where did that even come from? Because I think that I learned in school that it helped with blood flow, but the more recent research is showing it actually doesn't do anything to help with increasing the venous or arterial flow. So, I've gotten out of saying that, but I mean, that's where I got it from.
Well, I guess because when I think of like doing any kind of tissue massage, it like the tissue kind of like heats up, right? And so in my mind, like there's like dilation, there's increased blood flow, and so I've always believed that to be true, and so it helps with that. So maybe that's where I got that from. Like also the experience of giving it and having it done for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be a little bit of placebo effect with the peripheral blood flow versus like actually in the muscle tissue itself. And I often wonder, with some of this stuff, is it really harmful that we're really telling them that? I mean, what harm is it to say like, hey, this is going to increase some blood flow and bring in some good stuff? What does it really matter if it makes them feel better? But we're also saying this is a means to an end. This is not going to solve your problem. It's going to solve some discomfort, and then your problem will be solved with something else.
Well, I guess it wouldn't hurt them to say that, but I also never want to be spreading false information,
Yeah, like that's the conundrum, right? Yeah. You always, I work with a lot of construction workers, and they're very smart, and they will correct me on things. And so if I say, I mean, with some of them, they'll come in and if I would say something like, it helps to increase blood flow. I kid you not. They would probably be like, yeah, it does not. I had looked at the research on that. You're right. I was just trying to make you feel better. But sometimes, like, I am caught off guard by that because the data is out there, so people do really know, so they're going to question you on that specifically. So I don't think it's really that bad. I think it's a bad thing if we tell them that massage is going to increase your blood flow so that you heal faster. That is a bad thing because now we're putting their false information into their head. If we're saying, hey, massage is going to increase some blood flow, it's just going to make you feel better. It's going to help with some pain so then we can start to get the healing process going. That probably isn't a real damaging thing. But I'm with you. I don't really like to. I'm not a good liar. Mm-hmm. I get caught on that one quite a bit. Was there any other research that you found that you found interesting, or anything else in the course that they were like, oh, not OSHA related?
Well, I mean the course this time seemed pretty basic, so there wasn't anything that I wasn't surprised about, like the types of massage, right? Like that hasn't changed. But I was surprised in the research how small the significance was, like how little of a difference it made for like when you're recording data, and using massage as one of those factors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because maybe it's that placebo effect. It always seemed like it would make a big difference, right? We use it for everything from like shin splints, right, for muscle tightness. It's used pretty often, like super often, at least in traditional setting.
Yeah.
And I know everyone wants to have it done, right? No matter if it's not a permanent solution, they want it done because it helps immediately.
Yeah.
So the fact that the data didn't show that much of a change was surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Like measurable data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that gets into our conversation about how people just like to be touched, I think. And they just like to be cared for. And and I think, even in the Con Ed course you mentioned, despite all this information, it's been around forever. We've done it forever, and it still continues to be used. We continue to seek it out. We continue to want it. So it's not like it's a thing we shouldn't be doing or that it's a bad thing. There's that connotation out there, like you're wasting people's time if you're doing massage on them. Well, I just don't know about that. Research-wise, sure, but everything else, I find the same thing subjectively.
I would agree. And when you have an athlete approach you and they have this expectation in mind of having a massage or they think it's going to work, your expectation, like it was touched on in the course, your expectation really drives the outcome. And so if you think something's not going to work, even if it's the best treatment in the world, it probably won't work for them. So same thing on the other side. But I think when people are very not stubborn but firm in their practice of I'm not massaging someone because that's not what they need, there has to be consideration or flexibility in, well, maybe I do this, it's not what I totally believe in, but if they believe in it, help them first so that they trust you so that you can then do what you actually believe to be the solution. Which I think we can all as clinicians say we don't think massage is the solution to anything, but it's a tool and it helps. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was a really great summary, Sarah. It's like you had scripted that and was just waiting to jump in. I like it.
I have my moments.
Well, I felt like this is a great conversation. Natalie, is there anything else that you wanted to share or talk about?
No, I don't think so.
Any requests for round 2 on the massage course?
I like what to have on the course. I guess all those research articles we can be using now. I guess since we've got the basics covered in this one.
Yeah.
Now we can show like what has data actually shown us.
More research coming your way. What everybody wants.
Cool. Well, cool. Thank you, Natalie, again for coming on and talking to us about your experiences. At the end of the day, our experience matters in how we practice and how we learn from each other. So really thank you for coming on. Chantel, always fun talking to you about this stuff. You've been in the game far longer than either of us, so always appreciate that. But thank you both. This has been a fun talk, and I'm sure it won't be the last.
All right, my kids.